Hello, everyone. Here in our discussions and on Quora, one confusion that seems to arise a lot is between realizing that there is no real self or personal doer and helping others or being compassionate. A sort of false association between the path of compassion and the path to liberation. Let's address this and see if we can clear this up once and for all. Within the community of seekers surveying the various paths to awakening or enlightenment, Buddhism and Zen, the Vedas and Advaita, self-inquiry and non-duality, often there appears to be a conflict arising between those who insist there are separate selves, separate from life and with their own free will, who can somehow generate personal effort on a path, do practices, and become worthy of attaining something called enlightenment. And those who insist there is no separate I who can do this. Paraphrasing Ramana Maharshi, there is only one being, the self, or life itself. Since it is always the only thing, the only self, there could be no such thing as realizing it, attaining it. Who is to realize what and how, when all that exists is the one self, life itself? Adding to that is the truth that this one is already whole, complete, and perfect, just as it is, as what is. And since it's all there is, there could be no need to reach, attain, change, or improve anything about it, either at the absolute level or at the illusory individual level. Even though humans tend to look around, pass judgment about what's good or bad, enlightened or unenlightened, and then knowingly assert what we must do, and make up totally anthropomorphized purposes we think life has for itself. The purpose of life is for all to awaken and realize their enlightenment. Or, the numberless sentient beings need saving. I vow to save them. All overlays of human judgment that are meaningless to life itself. It's not that seeking paths and practices don't happen. They do. But they're not happening to any individuals, only to life itself. And since life is already whole, complete, and all there is, they do not cause and effect lead to anything. They don't need to. What is already perfect. Freedom and liberation is already in place. So the belief that any paths or practices are necessary and lead cause and effect to personal liberation is simply a delusion of the illusory ego. Similarly, it's not that love, compassion, and helping others should not be offered. It's that those things are not being offered from one individual to other individuals. There is no one. They are simply being offered by life to life, for no reason other than that is life expressing itself. Love happens. Compassion happens. Guiding or assisting others happens. Not because anyone needs saving, or because it's the right or noble thing to do. There is no one who needs saving, and there is no doer. Now, since certain paths have put an emphasis on being kind, compassionate, and even liberating others, Buddhism being one example, as well as Christianity and Islam and other doctrines, there has been a misinterpreted, misguided convergence of these two paths. Many have thus mistakenly conflated being compassionate to the illusory others with being a necessary step on the path to attaining nirvana or moksha, liberation. Then a conflict seems to arise between those who feel teachers of non-duality are cold and devoid of this caring and important component of compassion, and those saying there is no actual individual suffering and no actual separate from life entities to offer this compassion. Once again, we can refer to the response of the very warm, loving, and compassionate sage, Ramana Maharshi. When asked, how should we treat others? He immediately clarified, there are no others. Whatever you see outside is just a reflection of the one life that appears as all else. Of course, helping others and compassion for their suffering happens. If I see someone who is falling, I immediately and intuitively help them up. If I pass a homeless person on the street who hasn't eaten for days, I naturally offer them food and ask if they have a place to stay tonight. If someone asks for guidance towards spiritual awakening, I gladly inform them they are perfect and don't need to awaken, and then support them from there. The opportunity here is to take the personal doership and ego-inflating nobleness out of it. It just happens. Life happening to life. Not a personal activity or requirement. There is no doer. The other opportunity is to stop conflating the path of compassion with the path to liberation. The path of separate entities believing they are seeing millions of other separate entities and then easing their suffering is only that. The path of trying to ease suffering. Nothing else. It's not more noble, more spiritual, or more leading to enlightenment than any other path, including no path and not helping others at all. Non-dual or dual, it's time, historically, for humans to stop confusing compassion and easing others' suffering with anything else, like being on the noble path to nirvana and enlightenment. It's just what is, nothing more. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to ease the suffering of anyone or any millions of humans. There's nothing right about it either. It's just life being naturally kind to life, which is exactly the same as life being naturally cruel and harsh to life, until we overlay our human judgments on it. And since there is no separate you or others who need to attain anything, it cannot lead to anything or be a necessary component of the path to personal liberation. There is no path to personal liberation. That's a built-in oxymoron. Everything is just what is. Joy happens. Sorrow happens. Pain and pleasure. Life and death. Compassion for others and neglect of others. All of it is all of life, and it's perfect. As an apparent separate instrument of life, go out and help others. or don't help others. Ultimately, there is only life, and the illusory separate you has no choice in the matter. We'll talk again soon. Thanks for listening.